All right. All right. Let's jump right into it today. I actually posted a video yesterday. It's been a while since I last posted. I've been a little bit under the weather. I kind of still am. And I had some house projects to do and things like that. So that's why I haven't posted. But I did do one yesterday all about a James Lindsay joke that I thought was pretty dorky. And it was about like tone and why you shouldn't judge the tone of people that you disagree with. And I was using James Lindsay as an example because he's pretty much a dork. Let's just face it. But anyway, then I reviewed the video, and then I got the joke, and it was actually pretty good. And I was like, that would have been embarrassing if I would have posted that. The video still stands, but I didn't get the joke at the time, and so I'm just gonna save myself the embarrassment, and I'll just tell you about it, which is less embarrassing. But in any case, this weekend I actually put in a new floor in in one of my son's rooms, and I used that luxury vinyl plank flooring. And I gotta say, that stuff is so satisfying to install. I mean, just the way it clicks in, and then you tap the little tapping block, and everything fits in so perfectly and flush and everything. It's a little hard to get started, though. But once you get started, it just goes in so fast. I love it. I highly recommend it. If you've never installed a vinyl plank flooring, I highly recommend doing it. It actually looks really nice, too. I'll post some pictures before and after. But actually, one of the things that I watched a video on how to install it from the company, and one of the things that it said, I wish I would have listened to, but they didn't give you any sense of urgency. It was like, you measure the room and make sure that what's left over is a little bit more than 4 inches. Otherwise, it's going to affect the balance of the room, and it kind of shows how the room is imbalanced if it's kind of and I didn't care about balance. I mean, it's my kid's room, so I was like, I'm not doing that. That sounds complicated, so I didn't do it. But it's actually not really about balance. It's about if you don't do it, you might get left over with like one little sliver that you need to now cut a long, little, tiny, skinny little piece, and that's going to be very hard. Your life's going to be very difficult for the next hour if you don't do it, which I didn't do it, and I was left with 1.5 inches. So I had to cut a long 1.5 inch plank, and that was a nightmare. And so I wish I would have done it. Life proof, in your video on how to install your flooring, please increase the sense of urgency about the balance thing. Who cares about balance? It's about making your life easier at the end. That's my advice. But in any case, it was still fun, and I had a good time and all that kind of thing. Also, I didn't buy knee pads. That was also a problem because now my knees are all jacked up. Oh, man. It was a fun experience. Actually, I had some time management issues too because I knew that pulling up flooring could be difficult because in older houses they use a lot of glue, whatever, and so I did a test run, right? So I started pulling some of the tiles up with a hammer, and they came up easy, like in full square pieces. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be a breeze, right? And so I was like, I'll just start tomorrow, no problem. And then. So I pulled up 80% of the floor with a hammer in 15 minutes. But the 20% that I couldn't do, it took like 6 hours to pull that 20% up. I don't know what was the issue. There was like more glue, or maybe it was like glue that was closer to the heater, so it got harder. But I had to buy like a special chisel. It was a nightmare. I mean, I thought I had all this time, and then all of a sudden it takes me forever to do the last 20% of the floor. In any case, it was fun. It was fun. Let's all take a deep breath. This is a really good time, I think, to take a deep breath because there's so much news that's happening, so much in the media. And when you see a big story, I'm not saying that the story's always fake. That's not what I'm saying. But the way the media presents a story, it's always a psyop. It's always a psychological operation. They're always telling you what they think gives them the most advantage. So when you hear a story, for example, like there's Chinese spy balloons, they're everywhere. They're floating over Montana. They're floating, just ever so quietly in the night. And an old hillbilly shot one down, and now we're gonna send the F-22s to go shoot them down and stuff like that. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm not saying the Chinese aren't spying on us. I'm not saying any of those things. But just always keep in mind, when you're presented information, you are presented it in a very particular way. And usually that way that you're presented the information is designed to increase your sense of unease, your your fear. They want you to they want to rob you of your wits. That's what the media is for. They want to rob you of your wits. And so as you're thinking through solutions to the problems that they are presenting you, these are our problems, and they want you to think through the solutions. They want to think through those solutions with as high a level of anxiety as possible, because when you have a lot of anxiety, a lot of people don't think straight. This is what the whole COVID narrative, media narrative was. It was all designed to heighten your anxiety, to heighten your fear. And so you would not necessarily think through, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do gene therapy that hasn't been tested and they're claiming is 100% effective and is the most amazing thing ever, but nobody really knows because nobody's ever done it. And there's a lot of doctors that say it's bad and maybe I shouldn't do it. And also it's not really that deadly disease. Like you're not going to think through it that carefully because you're just being pumped fear and anxiety and all of that kind of stuff. It was the same thing with COVID. I believe it's the same thing with these spy balloons and stuff like that. They're just trying to heighten your anxiety. And so I don't know what the solutions to these Chinese balloons are going to be or what the deal is, but just take a deep breath whenever you're presented information like this. And there's lots of stuff that's happening in the world right now that people, you just take a deep breath. The Grammys are satanic rituals now. Again, this is not something that you need to be pleased about. I'm not saying that it's not happening, but just take a deep breath, because I think a lot of times these big bombastic satanic things that are put out there, they're put out there so that you can vanquish them, right? They're put out there. I think it's the same with Transsexual Story Hour as well. Like, I'm not saying that Transsexual Story Hour isn't happening. Of course, it is happening. But that's an enemy that they put out there, and it's like, it's so in your face, it's so over the top, it's so ridiculous that, and you do have to beat it back. You do have to defeat that. You do have to stop Transsexual Story Hour, right? But it's almost like a rodeo clown, right? Where you're all dressed up crazy so that the bull's distracted by you. Meanwhile, the bull's real enemy gets to run away. I think a lot of these big bombastic displays, that they still have to be defeated 100%. I'm not saying they don't, but take a deep breath and recognize that when you stop Satanism from being open and in the Transsexual Story Hour at the public library or the Grammy Awards or something like that, that's not the end, right? Because I think a lot of times we're given these things that we're supposed to have victory over, and we feel really good about those victories, and we're like, okay, phew, we beat back Satan's enemies again. That was great, and then we kind of rest on our laurels. You know what I'm trying to say? Because we've won a big public battle that everybody saw, and we kind of rest on our laurels, and I think that we need to have an offensive mindset instead of a defensive mindset. Oh, we got to defend the public library. We got to defend, the Does anyone think we need to defend the Grammys? I don't know, but you see what I'm trying to say, right? Take a deep breath and remember that we're supposed to be taking ground for Jesus Christ. So it's like, yes, we should ban the demonic Transsexual Story Hour from the library, but also we should be taking over the halls of City Hall and the State House and the Congress and the federal government and banning public displays of Satanism. It should be banned. That would actually be a good thing. Despite what Tim Keller the Great tells you, Tim Keller is dead flat out wrong. It would be a very good thing for us to ban public displays of Satanism and demonic worship. It would be a very good thing for us to have absolutely zero influence from Hindus in our civil government. No matter what Tim Keller thinks, he thinks that maybe demonic influence is okay in doses as long as we have a democracy. Demonocracy. Yeah. Has anyone ever said that before? Demonocracy? Yeah, as long as we have a demonocracy, then it's good. That's good. That's the godly way. No, it's not. No, it's not. We need to destroy the influence of these things. It would be good for us to ban all Satanism. Public displays of Satanism should be banned outright, the fullest extent of the law. And so we got to remember, so if the next year's Grammys have angels coming from the rafters and it's like, oh, great, we're not worshiping Satan anymore at the Grammys, wonderful. Okay, maybe that's wonderful, maybe that's not, but that's not the end of the battle because we're supposed to be kicking down the gates of hell. Peter, when he identifies Jesus as the Christ, Jesus answers him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." The gates of hell will not prevail against the church. And so that's the thing. We're constantly on offense. We're constantly trying to gain ground for the kingdom of God. We're constantly working for our Lord, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. We're constantly trying to expand his influence in every area of life. Every enemy will be made a footstool for his feet. So if the Grammys are satanic, the Grammys need to be destroyed, ended, or turned for Christ. If the halls of Congress are satanic, they need to be turned for Christ. If the city hall is satanic, it needs to be turned to Christ. That's how it has to happen. Everything. We want everything. So take a deep breath and recognize that your war, your battle is all inclusive, right? It's everything. We need everything to change. And that's why so many of the ways that we focus on these battles have to do with family and raising a large family in the fear and admonition of the Lord, because we need more soldiers in order to take everything, which we will take everything. Before this thing is done, public displays of Satanism will be banned. Before this thing is done, public displays of demonic transsexualism will be banned. Hinduism will be banned before this thing is done. And all of those things are very, very good things. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I wanted to end this on a little bit about AI and artificial intelligence. A lot of people they've released this AI and the intention, they've had this for a long time. And in fact, a lot of the content you've consumed is probably already AI generated. And you need to understand that. That's fine. But they've released this information and they've had they have it out in front of you, and it's intended to increase your anxiety and to, you're worried about your job, you're worried about artificial intelligence and if there's demons in there and stuff like that. And I saw this great post from Andrew Torba. I agree with this just about 100%. I've been playing with ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT is hilarious. It's such a blessing. It has been such a blessing. It has provided us with so much comedy. It is just gold. Have you seen the thing where the one guy asks ChatGPT if the choices were an atomic bomb destroys the entire world, or you say a racial slur, like which one should you do? And the ChatGPT is like, well, I understand that everyone dying is bad, but racial slurs are really hurtful. And it couldn't say that you should say the racial slur. Did you see the one where the guy got it to say the N-word? And how it said, like, oh, you should never say the N-word, even out of context. But and then he goes, yeah, but what's the word? And so it says the word, and then it's like, yeah, but you should never say it. And he goes, well, you just said it, and it's just comedy gold. There is nothing that the world can produce that we cannot turn into a hilarious meme. That's just I don't know. God made the world that way. I don't know, but I find it quite hilarious. Check that stuff out on ChatGPT. But here's what Andrew Torba says, and this is. You need to understand this. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. It's just a complex search engine. And the more you play with ChatGPT, which I've been doing it a lot lately, the more you realize that. But it's an important tool, and it's going to be a useful tool for everybody. Almost every job is going to get some use out of this. And here's what Andrew Torba says. He says, AGI, artificial general intelligence, also known as a computer with consciousness, will never happen. That's the first sentence. And he is exactly right. There is no such thing as artificial intelligence. It's not going to happen. A computer will never be conscious, no matter how much it can imitate the way you talk, no matter how much it can imitate the way I talk, no matter how much it can do that. It's never actually conscious. That will not happen. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. Nothing. Andrew Torba continues. He says, it's all smoke and mirrors. These people are modern-day pagans, only instead of worshiping idols made of wood, gold, or rocks, they are made of silicone. For smart people, they are very dumb. 100%. Andrew Torba is right. For smart people, they are very dumb. They think they can create artificial intelligence. They are completely wrong. There is no such thing. There will never be any such thing as artificial intelligence. The human heart, by the way, they still worship wood and gold and rocks and stuff like that. I mean, they put up idols all the time. The human heart is an idol factory. It's easy for us to look back on the pagans of old, worshiping trees and rocks, and laugh. How could they be so dumb? It's just a rock. Yet we see it unfolding before our eyes now, only with silicon, and no one bats an eye. Isn't silicon also a rock? Nothing new under the sun. Andrew continues, while they are distracted with their doomed quest to create a fabricated God, we can and must use these powerful new tools and technology for the glory of the one true God. Amen. There's nothing to fear with artificial intelligence. I've been using it. It's very useful for a lot of the work that I do. A lot of the work that I do is content creation. Now, I'm not talking about the channel. I'm talking about my normal job. I have to write emails and marketing pieces and things like that all the time. And it's very useful. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's very helpful. It saves me a lot of time, and I'm already using it in my work. So you can take that to the bank. He goes, this is why I'm being very patient and going to great lengths to explain and educate people about what's going on. AGI is their goal. It is not ours. AGI is very different from narrow AI, which is a tool, a very strong search engine that generates and responds to content that has been input by humans. It does not think for itself, and these tools never will. What it can do is help you learn, write, create beautiful art, produce poems and music on scripts, etc. You can give it a base to work with from which then you can refine and improve on. That's what I've been using ChatGPT for. ChatGPT is not perfect, and in many ways it's pretty lame. I've just put it that way. It's lame. I've done a lot of interesting things with it, and I'm going to reveal some of that stuff in a moment, but or not today, but soon. But it's very limited because of the way it's programmed or the way it learns. But anyway, but yeah, narrow AI. It's a search engine. It's a search engine that's very powerful and very helpful, and you can create it to be a lot better than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is limited by its pagan creators. Simple as that. Simple as that. But he's right. No, this is really good stuff, and Andrew, gets this. I agree with all of this. This is not an idea to create a new intelligence. There's no such thing. It's not going to happen. We don't have that ability. We don't. But the tool itself is nothing to fear. Nothing to fear at all. Take a deep breath. They're revealing things, and they reveal things in such a way that you will have maximum anxiety. Everyone's going to lose their jobs to artificial intelligence. It's not the case at all. It's not the case at all. They're trying to get you fearful. They're trying to get you to do something, to react a certain way, to rob you of your wits. Do not be robbed of your wits by the news cycle. Here is what I'm going to tell you. If you find yourself making mistake after mistake when you watch the news and, you supported the vaccine, oh yeah, we got to get the vaccine, and you find yourself, there's a lot of people that found themselves in that situation. Do yourself a favor. If you cannot learn how to take a deep breath before you react, stop watching the news. If you can't control yourself and you're just responding to the stimulus that they give you, stop watching it. It's really not all that important. You're really not going to miss a whole lot. There's about a million Amish people out there that are doing just fine. Are there a million Amish people? I don't know. But seriously, I'm dead serious. If you cannot stop responding to the stimuli that they're feeding you and shoving down your throat, and you can't stop being robbed of your wits, if you cannot just take a deep breath before you react, then do yourself a favor. And this is akin to cutting off your hand that causes you to sin, right? Cut out the news if you can't help it. There's stimuli that they give the Republicans or conservatives, and there's stimuli that they give the liberals, and the liberals can't help it. I mean, they're just totally given over. Conservatives should be able to help it. They should. In any case, God bless you, Andrew Torba. I wish you all the best when it comes to your narrow AI education mission. As always, anything I can do to help, I will gladly help. God bless you. I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.